Hello and welcome to the Cooperative Game Chat. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero. Zero, my man. How you doing?
Good. Looks like this week we've got one hell of an Acquisition-palooza
You
going
took my
on.
title. That's my title. You can't have it. Now keep going. You already buried
So,
me.
yeah, just first one to sort of kick things off is there is a little bit of context to it. So, to sort of start things, when um, when AT&T was sort of trying to spin off the WB side of the house, one of the things that was being discussed was that they were also going to sell off the WB Games division because at the time that this talk had started up, AT&T had said, just we don't really see that much profitability in the game sector anyways, and since we're sort of just trying to get out of get the Warner Brothers side of things out of our label, we'll just go ahead and sell the WB Games part of it as well too. And then, of course, as things do in the business world, things changed, and all of a sudden it was just actually whoever ends up buying Warner Brothers, they will just get the whole kit and caboodle. They'll get the TV and movie programming side of the house, and also the video game studios that are under the Warner Brothers name.
Yeah.
So that had been sort of the thing for a while, and of course, a lot of people had speculated during the initial talk of the WB game side of the house being sold off. People were just like, yeah, just I think AT&T and Warner Brothers they were asking way too much money for the sale of the Warner Brothers game studios and their IPs. There's no way that they were going to get whatever ridiculous asking price they were asking for. And, just when the sale of the studio was canceled, everyone just kind of just went about their day and didn't really think anything of it. And so now here we are in the year 2020,
Two.
or excuse me, 2022.
There
even.
we go. Welcome back.
And Discovery Networks is apparently I think, in charge of the Warner Brothers stuff now, and rumors have come up that WB Games may once again be up for sale. But what makes the rumor far more spicier this time is supposedly there's one hell of a bid war going on with several very, very interested studios potentially just talking about getting serious with throwing down money to buy them up. So it's going to be very interesting to see if these rumors actually hold any water or not. But the rumors suggest that EA, Take-Two, Microsoft, Sony, Tencent, NetEase, PUBG Corp are all potential suitors for this deal. And yeah, it's just kind of wild to see this because one of the talking points that I've heard from some of the people speculating on this in the rumor side of things is that whatever asking price Warner Brothers the Warner Brothers game studio is being sold for, it's probably going to be too high, and Warner Brothers Discovery would probably be just better off trying to piecemeal out the IPs. But
Yeah.
it's sort of interesting to sort of see this thing pop up again.
Now, I originally thought that the report was that the studios were being sold, but not the IPs that are attached to them.
Yeah, it's definitely the studios are being sold,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
but yeah, just a lot of people who are sort of kind of spectating from the side are saying that it's probably going to be a repeat of what happened years ago when Warner Brothers and AT&T had originally decided to try to sell off the studios, I think back in 2020, and the price that they were asking for was just way too high. So some people are just saying, yeah, just if they're trying this again, and if the rumors are true that they are selling, hopefully they either have a good price, or they're just going to be sitting on these studios doing a whole bunch of nothing with them.
Yeah. It's to point out. Hold on a second. Uh, it's good to point out that right now, Warner Brothers Discovery, they just got been created a few months ago, and the past month they've been on a tear to go through their books and find what's making money and what isn't. And did you even just say this? And I'm just talking over you. Did you just say this?
No, I haven't gone into the fact that Warner Brothers Discovery has been sort of trimming the fat and everything.
Yeah. Okay. For a minute there, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. I thought you just might have said this. Okay. Yeah, they're currently going through the books and trimming fat and seeing what works and what isn't. Some of you may already be aware of one big thing that closed down this past month, or this past few weeks. CNN Plus. That is a Warner Brothers Discovery property that, after a month, was closed. That costed $300 million just to get started. So they're not kidding around when they're looking at what can make them money and what can't. And I guess they're looking at WB Games and saying, this isn't going to make us enough money. Which, I mean, on the one hand, with the type of things that they're looking for, I guess I get it. But on the other, these aren't studios that are busts. We're talking about Monolith. We're talking about NetherRealm. We're talking about
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady? Yeah. And they all have games that are coming out that are anticipated too. So I'm not surprised there's a bidding war, but if the original rumor was true that they were only selling the studios, I think and as one article I just put up there for you, Zero, apparently the IPs are supposedly up for sale as well, except for what WB owns, of course, like DC. I believe they own Do they own Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, that's technically a New Line Cinema joint, but I think New Line Cinema is technically under the Warner Brothers brand of film studios and stuff, I think. I could be wrong on that.
I shouldn't. Yep, they're Warner Brothers.
Man, I'm good.
I should have known that. Okay, so yeah, really the IPs. I think their most bankable IP that isn't owned by WB, that they're not selling, that they are selling, is Mortal Kombat. And if I look at those IPs, and if that's the best one they have, I don't see that making much money. I don't see that being like a juicy incentive for someone to say we need to buy these studios. So there's that. As far as a bidding war, are you sure it's a bidding war, or is it just a bunch of companies who are interested but are trying to get the price down?
I could potentially see it being a bid war, especially since one of the commentators on this rumor is Imran Khan of Fanbyte, and Imran Khan has generally been a pretty good speculator as far as video game business goes. So he's generally pretty reliable about whatever rumors that he's got. The part that he mentioned saying Warner Brothers Discoveries wants to sell studios and license IPs, supposedly the key takeaway there, in my opinion, is the licensing of IPs, especially if you have Take-Two, EA, Microsoft, Sony, Tencent, NetEase, and PUBG being interested. I could see them being interested in brokering some sort of licensing deal for the IP. Like, it would be real weird to see this, but maybe Sony's got some sort of interest in superhero stuff, and they were just like, hey, we'd love to uh, buy up Rocksteady and have them under us, but we also want the license to make Batman games with Rocksteady at the helm.
Mm.
And I could easily see something like that just sparking off a bid war and just Microsoft going, no, screw you, we want Rocksteady, we want the Batman games, piss off, we'll pay higher, and then Take Two going, hey, we think we can do a bigger, better, more open world Batman, especially if we have Rocksteady under our house. So screw the both of you. We want them. Or EA just jumping in and going, no, actually screw all of you guys. We'll pay the most because we're willing to just support an empire of licensed video games based on popular cultural media and stuff like that. So when the whole licensing of IPs gets into the mix, I could potentially see a pretty hot bid war for stuff like that.
I'm looking at their IPs now, and I'm trying to sift through all of them that are clearly the ones that are going to be sold and what's not. Fear came into mind. Scribblenauts. See, that's the thing I'm looking at here. I'm looking at these, like, maybe Lego, maybe. Maybe not Lego, actually. I just don't.
Personally, in my opinion, I could definitely see if Mortal Kombat is one of the ones on the chopping block. I could easily see Microsoft making a bid for that one.
I see. Okay, I get the logic behind that. I get why you'd think that, but with a story, maybe we should talk. Maybe we're not going to talk about, but I'll just go on it and say they just approved, the shareholders just approved their acquisition of Bethesda, not Bethesda, of Activision Blizzard. The shareholders for Activision, they just approved of that. Apparently, this is according to Jason Schreier, the stock market thinks that it's not going to go through. So much so that that Warren Buffett increased his stake in Activision Blizzard from 3 to 10% this week in an arbitrage play. And this is in an arbitrage play, so that if the deal doesn't go through, he just got more stock for cheap. But if it does go through, he's making a payout in the what do you call it? in the potential buyout. So, but it looks like the stock market is saying this might not go through. So that's why, to me, if Microsoft went and try and get WB Games while they're in the middle of this, it would probably decrease their chances in getting Activision. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think for the most part, Microsoft's out until further notice.
Yeah.
And people who are thinking that Microsoft is going to continue being on a bidding war, you might want to hold off on that, because let's wait until Activision goes through. And if Activision,
and that's a fair point too, especially with the fact that they don't want to be seen as bleeding money either. So just that's definitely a fair take on it, and I would probably be inclined to concur on that.
And Activision, I'm sorry. If Activision doesn't go through, if the FTC says no, you have too much power, we can't allow you to do that. I can see Sony now backing off of doing acquisitions too, just to avoid that hassle. So the other rumor going around, which is, we'll get into that one. I was about to out the next story. But yeah, with other rumors going around, what Sony may possibly be doing, this could get messy pretty quick. So it's looking like to me of the people of the companies that are in there, which I'm surprised Embracer Group's not in there, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Um, I think PUBG Corp will probably be the one that gets it.
Yeah. I know that they've been trying to get something outside of PUBG just to kind of diversify their studio.
Yeah,
And I think one of their other projects has been just sort of stuck in development hell, if I remember right.
yeah. It's a survival horror game, isn't it?
I want to say I think so. It's just been so long. Really haven't kept up with whatever PUBG Corp has been doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could easily see them maybe picking up a few IPs here and there, just to sort of mix things up. Um, I mean, it'd be interesting to see stuff like the Fear games in their hands because just I think that would just be interesting to maybe see them sort of spin that off into its own little multiplayer madness. I probably wouldn't play it, mind you, but
Yeah.
with as much fun as people are having with stuff like Dead by Daylight, I could see something of a potential for like a Fear game with a massively multiplayer element like what uh, the PUBG game is known for and everything.
So basically, you want to play a game where there's a battle royale and the winner impregnates a ghost being. Is that what you want?
Well, when
That is what
I
happened
don't,
in Fear 2, right? I didn't make that up.
yeah,
Okay.
um, I don't think I don't think it would be anything like a battle royale. I think it'd be maybe something that has the scope and scale of a large arena like PUBG, but more something like Dead by Daylight,
Hmm.
where you've got people taking up ghost powers and people taking up like being part of the anti-ghost squad and shooting things up and everything.
So let's humiliate ourselves a little more here by taking a guess as to what the price will be at the end if this goes through. If something happens, what do you think WB Games will sell for? And this is a complete guess. We're going to end up being probably wrong, but what do you think?
Ooh, that's tough, especially since uh, this is sort of a thought exercise I don't do very often.
Okay, no, I understand. But that's why we do what we do here, Zero. People come here for the content and for the guessing, and then for us to be wrong and to tell us how stupid we are. We got to give them what they want.
Um,
Go ahead, do it.
maybe a bit pie in the sky, but I think this is mostly going to be, at least in my opinion, going to be based more on the fact that there is talk about potentially licensing out IPs. Maybe the 1 billion mark, because superhero stuff has been just really really hot right now in the movie space, in the toy space, and somewhat in the video game space. But yeah, just all WB needs is just a game studio or a parent, either console platform or a publisher who's willing to put in the money to make a good game, and just the potential will just kind of rocket ship itself off to the moon.
Yeah, but their superhero properties aren't going to be sold as part of this, is it? It's going to be
Well, licensing IP, so
okay.
they'd probably be able to broker a deal with WB Discovery to say, hey, so we got your studios and stuff, so how about we put our foot in the door and try to work with you guys on brokering a deal for, I don't know, a Superman action game that's got some serious story beats, and we'll use one of your former studios, Rocksteady, to, just uh, take the development by the helm and make a Superman game that's just really really good. And since they've got some sort of rapport with Warner Brothers Discovery, it make brokering the deal potentially easier.
So you think that by selling these studios off, it'll give them an inroad to get a contract to use their IPs? That's what you're thinking?
That's my thought process on the whole thing.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think WB wants to get rid of these studios and wants to be rid of them. I don't think you're wrong that they don't want to license those IPs that they have. They definitely do. I just don't think that's part of this deal. And I think that's why this is not going. That's why there's a quote unquote bidding war, but the talk is that it's not a lot there. It's just these studios, except for maybe Mortal Kombat or any of those other IPs.
Right.
I think you're looking at $400 million.
Yeah, I mean,
if what you're saying is correct, and they're gonna sweetheart the deal where the people who get these studios will also have access to licensing their IPs as a first refusal, then yes, I would say $1 billion sounds good. I don't think that's what's going on here. I think that they're simply liquidating these assets to get them off the books and to give them to somebody who wants them for cash. I think that's what's going on here.
yeah, and it'll really be interesting to see how this pans out, because if it ends up being where they end up setting up some sort of legal framework where whoever makes the purchase also gets the first right of refusal for making stuff based on any Warner Brothers Discovery IPs, then yeah, this is going to be just a insanely hot sale, and might even go completely off the rails. But yeah, if the fine details come out, and the studios are just for sale, and their respective IPs that are not based out of the Warner Brothers or Discovery House, then yeah, I would probably be inclined to agree with you on the 400 million mark.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's something for like, oh, all you're going to be getting is just Fear, Scribblenauts, and a couple of other things here and there. Yeah, no DC stuff, no Looney Tunes or anything like that. You're not getting any of that. So if that ends up being the finer details of this deal, then yeah, I could probably agree with you that this sale may not be as hot as Warner Brothers Discovery want it to be, and it'll probably end on a real minor note, right at about 400 million or so.
That's yeah. I mean, like I said, if those the licensing IPs are with it, then you have something. There is no way that they're gonna license they're gonna sell their IPs of the DC and of their tentpole IPs. They're just not doing that. They have so much invested in DC right now that they're not going to let that go. So yeah, yeah. My fear of this is going to be that someone buys NetherRealm and guts it, and just takes the Mortal Kombat IP.
Oh, that would be sad.
And it's a possibility. And I don't know. Because that's all NetherRealm has. Injustice is a DC property, and that's WB all the way. So that's not even a part of their portfolio when it gets sold. So hell, we don't even know if Mortal Kombat is considered one of those IPs that they can't take. We're just assuming that Mortal Kombat is probably going to go with it. So I don't know. This is it. A deal is going to go through, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting what happens, but it'll all be contingent as to what exactly is in the deal. So if it's just the studios, I'm going to hold fast on 400 million. If they include the IPs and a licensing IP first right of refusal, then I can see where your 1 billion can go to that point.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you. If this rumor does hold any water, we're probably going to see some traction starting, I would assume, in the next couple weeks as well.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to. This was going to be originally the big story, and we would have much littler stories to talk about. But that didn't happen because a couple of days ago? A huge announcement came out. Yeah, a huge announcement came in in Square Enix selling off Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal to Embracer Group. And they sold it for $200 million.
No, I thought it was 300.
Well, let me check. I can't believe you're probably right, but let me just double check.
I want to say it's 300, but the 200 million number will come into play on another part of this tale.
Embracer.
Yep. They are selling the
300.
studios for 300 million.
Okay, 300. Yes, thank you. God damn it. All right. So they sold off those 3 studios and their IPs for $300 million. Another reason why the WB Games thing is probably not going so well right now is because this and the studios and their IPs got sold for this low. So that's another thing. But yeah, the details are it's a simple buyout. It's Embracer Group takes control of those 3 studios and their IP, and for straight cash homie, that money goes right to Square Enix. Square Enix, on their end, basically said that they are using this money for cloud, AI, blockchain, and NFTs. Oh, wow. Yeah. All right, Zero, go ahead. Let's just dive right into this.
Yeah, so when I saw Square Enix put out their PR announcement about this sale and what they were going to put the money towards, I just put both my hands to my face and was just like, my God, guys, did you guys not learn anything about the other Japanese studios that went chasing fads half-cocked? It's just like, we haven't been that far away from the past, of where major Japanese game studios have just blindly chased a fad because they thought that, hey, as long as we just chase whatever the fad is, we'll make money. And some great examples I saw from some online forums and communities and stuff were Capcom investing the profits that they made on the Monster Hunter 3DS games to finance their mobile gaming division. And that ended up being a total bust because they lost an entire generation's worth of profit. That could have been put that this money could have been put towards either another iterative 3DS game or maybe something on a big console, and they would have not lost the money and had something to go off of. Another example I saw people talking about was the Japanese company Level 5. They tanked their entire company chasing after mobile games because they were just like, oh, hey, everyone's doing mobile games. How hard can it be? And I believe Level 5 is swirling the toilet at this point.
Are they even around?
I think they've mostly been doing mobile games, and none of their mobile games have really been all that profitable, if I remember correctly.
I actually put Level 5 drywall. Hold on, let me check. Game studio. Company. Wow, founded 22 years ago. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Apparently they're still around. But they did close down their Western offices back in 2020.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, and they have no plans of doing anything with Professor Layton. They have no plans for Ni no Kuni. So that's good. Okay.
and then Yokai Watch sort of kind of fell on its face.
I mean, Yokai Watch was not that popular here. It was in Japan that was huge, right?
The first two games were really big, and then the last couple games that have come out for Yokai Watch have sort of just fell on their face. Like
Okay.
Yokai Watch 4, um, I want to say they were hoping to localize it, but um, that ended up just sort of evaporating into nothing, from what I understand, for the Western localization announcement. Um, because the last talk that there was of the game was um, either 2019 or 2020,
Hmm.
and um, I think I think in combination with the momentum of the series just not really picking up, and then Level 5 shutting down their Western offices back in October 2020, I don't think Yokai Watch 4 is even going to be coming out to the West
Nah.
anytime soon.
No. No. If didn't Nintendo put money towards it coming to the U.S.?
I think the first two games they did mostly
Hmm.
because they were the co-publishers for the game.
Okay.
It's sort of like the same arrangement that they have with the Professor Layton games, where um, while Level 5 does develop it, Nintendo is the publisher for the Professor Layton games.
Okay. And then, oh, I forgot about Fantasy Life. Did you ever play that?
I did not.
Oh, Fantasy Life is fun. It's it's an action RPG, but you also it's an action RPG, but it's like an MMO, but it's a single player RPG. It was on the
Ah,
DS. It was cute and it was fun. I remember that game. That was fun. Okay. Um. Yeah.
but yeah. So just for me, I just sort of double face palmed when I saw this PR announcement that just they're just like, yeah, so just we're glad to get these studios off to their new owners, where their new owners will be able to really give them the time and money that they deserve. And we just want to go really hard in on some of the new burgeoning technologies like cloud technologies, blockchain, AI, and NFTs. And it was just like, oh my God,
Now,
just there has to be someone in the Square Enix shareholders probably screaming at themselves, going, "Why are you doing this? You've got enough problems on your hands as it is."
um, I don't think that's what's happening. I
No.
think the shareholders are behind them pushing so hard at this.
Oh
But
yeah, I imagine most of the board is probably like, "Yeah, just these are all the hot buzzwords. We got to get in on this."
yeah, um, I don't know if you heard the news, but there's somebody who is definitely for NFTs and blockchain. You know who it is?
Who?
Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah, I saw the excerpt from his book because apparently he was musing about how Animal Crossing could have gone into the NFT space. Apparently,
Yeah, and again, we say this all the I've said this. You said it too. Actually, I should be fair. We've said this before. We don't know exactly if NFTs will work or not, or if blockchain will work or not. But these companies are heavy into it, so we're gonna see this happen at some point.
yeah,
The question is, what exactly is it that they're trying to do? Because from what little I've seen of blockchain and NFTs, blockchain specifically, is that the only thing they talk about is taking an item from a game, being able to sell that through the blockchain to someone else, and you getting money for that item.
yeah, and basically also the concept of having a ledger that can be tracked forever on who has previously owned the item, who has who has sold it for how much, and just everything being sort of openly available to the public. But another one of the things that I've heard being conceptualized with blockchain is the idea of being able to take your items from one game and then moving it into another game. And that in its own right has its own nightmares because of the fact that just um, and this is something that has been talked about in some of the GDC conferences between a bunch of indie developers is um, how are different games, let alone different game companies, going to sort of cross recognize items from completely different games with blockchain technology, and better yet, who's going to manage the servers for this sort of stuff because you need some sort of infrastructure. So in my mind, I think it just speaks more to the fact that just a lot of these developers, they say blockchain because it's the newest, hottest, exciting thing, but I don't think they know the first thing about what all the blockchain stuff entails.
Now, I may expose my ignorance on this, but isn't the point of the blockchain like crypto, where it's just an amorphous or a kind of centralized hub where everyone can see the ledger and knows where everything is and where everything goes?
Correct.
Isn't
Yeah,
that the point?
it's that's really the point of the blockchain, the accountability record and the ledger.
Right. So these people might be these shareholders might be thinking we don't need to do the ledger because it's out there anyway. So that might be what they're thinking. Again, I'm as ignorant as anybody else about this, but that might be
Yeah.
what they're thinking on it.
Yeah, and then the mention of AI, it's just kind of like, you know, just it's interesting that they say AI, but again, I don't think that they really know what they'd use it for. I mean, if it was a company like Sega talking about AI, I'd understand because um, Sega Sega licenses the likeness of their Vocaloid characters like Hatsune Miku and stuff like that to all sorts of companies. And at that point, I could see a company like Sega getting interested in AI because at that point they can market like an interactive version of Hatsune Miku in some sort of like a program or a toy or something that uses um, AI and cloud computing to sort of generate organic responses to whoever buys like this AI powered Miku product or something.
All right. Before we dive really into the whole blockchain and the thing, it it's interesting that, I mean, to a certain extent, I kind of understand that they want to future proof their business to where they can diversify their portfolio and go in different directions if they need to for money making opportunities. I get that. What I don't what I don't understand in this, and we've both talked ad nauseum about this outside of here, just why they dumped, and they literally dumped these developers for so cheap that it goes into it really goes into question what their business acumen on this was in the first place. Because I really think you would have gotten a lot more money if, because what this here's my take. Not saying this is what happened. My take is basically Embracer Group got on the phone or spoke to somebody in Square Enix and basically said, "Hey, we'll give you X amount of money for what do you call it? For Crystal Dynamics." Because Crystal Dynamics, even though they did the Avengers, they are a well-known, well-established, beloved gaming company, and they have the respective people in the business. I'll bet then what happened was, okay, take these two as well, and we'll give it to you. Okay, here's 300 million. Okay, cool. I think that's what happened here. Because if people knew that Crystal Dynamics specifically was in the market, I think they would have had a bidding war on them alone. And you could have added those other two in just to get rid of them, and you probably would have gotten 700, 800 million.
Yeah, and I mean, for anyone who needs perspective on just how much of a fire sale this was, by comparison, Sony paid 3.6 billion for Bungie and
Now,
Bungie alone, and that's for one studio with currently one IP right now.
right, but when we discussed this in that one episode about the Bungie deal, we also discussed that they were looking specifically for someone who's good at live content or
Yep.
live. Was it live series? No, it's live.
Live services.
Live services. Thank you. Live service content. So Bungie can come in and help other studios with that live service content. And
Yeah,
they
and in that case, I can understand the price because of the point of that purchase was Sony's playing the long game for live services.
right.
They're looking for potential. They're not really buying Bungie because Destiny is apparently worth that much money.
Right. And I originally balked the price, thinking they overpaid, but what they did was I think they used half the money that they sold it on to retain all the employees in order
Yep.
to make, which on that case was a smart move. I will take that back. I will take that back and say what was it? It was 3.6 billion, was it?
Yeah,
And if you're using half of that to keep employees, good move. That I understand. Most companies don't do that. Most companies will say, well, we have the IP. If they stay, it doesn't matter. We can fill the position. They did what I think was not only a pro worker move, but I think a savvy business move by keeping these employees. So I think I will take that back. That was a good move.
Yeah, because especially because what ends up happening with a lot of these buyouts is a studio buyout, like you said, a studio just for the IPs. A bunch of the employees who may not like the new company, might not like the new management style, or some sort of gripe with whoever the new owners are, they'll just up and leave in droves.
Yes.
And at that point, the studio ends up becoming a former shell of itself. And I mean, that's a story as old as time. And
Unless it's in the deal that certain employees have to stay a certain amount of time in order to get the contract. But this is usually higher ups, like CEOs, executive vice presidents, people like that. They usually have contracts where they have to stay 3 years and they make X amount of money in order to stay when the buyout happens. But yeah. Okay, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, the price of 300 million is an insult to these three studios, specifically Crystal Dynamics. You can say that Square Enix Montreal may not be worth much because I think they only did the Go games. And the Go games are okay. They're good, but they're not big money makers. And the other one was Eidos Montreal. Another studio that is a quality studio that makes quality games.
Yep.
To me, and this is my opinion, of course, is Square Enix screwed the pooch with these development studios so badly. They mismanaged it so badly that either that's what drove down the price, or they just didn't know what they had and they just wanted to get rid of it, which is a shame. I mean, for God's sakes, Square Enix had Crystal Dynamics, a studio that had excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. A studio that made really good games that are atmospheric, story-based, and just single player experiences like Legacy of Kain, and what else did Crystal Dynamics? Oh, Tomb Raider. My God,
Yeah,
why did I forget Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider, like these quality games that they had, and what did they do after Tomb Raider was done? Put them on the Avengers, a live service beat 'em up game. First off, let's just forget the quality of the Avengers. We know the doom boggle that was. Live service beat 'em up. What? I mean,
yeah, especially for a studio that has mostly been known for award-winning single player focused games.
yeah, absolutely. And they and then they did it again with Eidos and Guardians of the Galaxy turned out to be actually very good. I haven't played. I know you did. I haven't
Yeah.
played it, but the word of mouth is it is actually a really good game. But Eidos shouldn't have been doing this game. They should have been making another Deus Ex or doing a new IP or something. You should have been using the strengths of these studios to create the games that they are good at. Now, this could be me talking on another side of my face because I often complain that there's no originality anymore and there's only sequels in the gaming industry. But let's be fair here. If they really needed money and they wanted profits from these studios, you make the games that people are they're known for.
Yeah, and to kind of coincide with the talk of mismanagement,
Okay.
back in about 2011, this was when I was starting to get more and more into the business side of just the video game industry and sort of trying to understand how the sausage was made. When back in 2011, I believe that was when Deus Ex Human Revolution came out, and originally the Q3 sales report for 2011 from Square Enix had basically said, "Hey, yeah, so our target is to try to have sales either similar or better than than the Call of Duty of that year." And when I read that in the sales report right before Human Revolution came out, I was just kind of confused. I was just like, Square Enix, what are you thinking? The audience that likes Deus Ex is not going to have much cross-pollination with Call of Duty. They're not going to go, oh, yeah, just this game that I like to play with my friends. Yeah, screw that game. I'm going to play this game that's 100% single player only because I don't need a multiplayer game. That's just not the Call of Duty crowd. They play it because they like the online, that they've got their own community of friends to play with.
Didn't they try to shoehorn a multiplayer game into Deus Ex?
I don't think so, but I'll get into the shoehorning of multiplayer shortly. So,
Yeah.
of course, naturally, Deus Ex didn't outsell Call of Duty or didn't even come close to the sales of Call of Duty. I think the game did break even, but on the Q1 sales report of 2012, Square Enix basically said, "Yeah, so basically, Deus Ex: Human Revolution was a failure, and the reason we're calling it a failure is because it didn't beat Call of Duty." And of course, my reaction at the time was, "No shit, guys. The audience for Deus Ex is not going to be the same as Call of Duty. Anyone could have told you that. Just what on earth were you thinking?"
Mm-hmm.
And so, fast forward to 2013, and this is when the Tomb Raider reboot was coming out, and of course, just it was getting a lot of love from a lot of the industry websites, blogs, and magazines at the time, saying, just it looks like it's going to be a great single player story and adventure and everything. And then right before it was due to come out, there was talk about a multiplayer mode being added, and for me, it's just like, yeah, I'm just not sure about this multiplayer thing. But stranger still, Square Enix once again on their Q3 2013 sales financial report had basically said, yeah, we're excited that Tomb Raider's coming out, and we think this is going to make a lot of waves in the critical press and everything. Also, the sales target for this game is to beat the current Call of Duty of 2013.
Yeah.
And it was just, I just kind of facepalmed and was just kind of thinking to myself, Square Enix, did you not learn your lesson from 2011 and Deus Ex? The cross-pollination between the Tomb Raider audience and Call of Duty, it's not there. You're not gonna steal people who like Call of Duty for Tomb Raider all because you decided to shoehorn in a multiplayer mode. It doesn't work that way. It just
Right.
doesn't work.
And well, let's talk about Tomb Raider as an IP for a second. Yes, Tomb Raider is known for its gameplay, and it was popular with its gameplay. But what was it most popular for?
I really want to say, as far as the reboot goes, I think
Not
it's
the
just more
reboot, not
action.
the IP specifically. What made the IP so valuable? What gave it that value when it first came out and when it was getting popular? What made it so popular?
God.
I know, Zero, but it
Yeah.
needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, the sexy advertising.
Yes. Okay. Now, I am not saying that it was a bad idea for Crystal Dynamics to go the route they did. It was these were good games, and to do a how do I put this? To do a reboot of the series as Lara Croft she was a teenager in this, right?
Um,
Or college student.
I think college student, so like
Okay.
barely 18, 20-ish, I want to
Okay.
say. I
Okay.
can't
I
remember
thought she was a
offhand.
teenager, but okay. But you had to have known that when you reboot and Tomb Raider needed to be rebooted. It did. It was getting long in the tooth. You had to have known with the direction they were going in that you weren't going to get that specific crowd that not only liked the game for its gameplay, but for obvious titillation reasons. And let's be honest here, Tomb Raider embraced that. In Tomb Raider, every iteration, the boobs got smoother, the butt got nicer. They purposely did that, and they
Yeah.
spent time and resources on doing that. Let's not kid ourselves. They did. So that right there led to sales, and specifically with the male demographic, for that to be a sales juggernaut. You had to have known when you were changing it up that you weren't going to get those sales back. If they kept Tomb Raider the way it was, maybe, and made the game, gave the game a really nice coat of polish, a coat of polish, a coat of paint. I can't believe I said that. A really nice coat of paint, and basically, like with the engine they use with the Tomb Raider reboots, and made it just as captivating as they did with those reboots, they probably would have sold as much as Call of Duty. I think. Because, let's face it, console gaming is male dominated, and male likes boobs. Unless they're gay.
Yeah.
Which is okay if you are. But, they like boobs. I'm sorry. They do.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting, and that just, of course, interesting and also depressing that just Square Enix, the executives out in Japan would just set these, I guess, in a way, unrealistic sales goals for the Western studios. It was just kind of like, what on earth are you guys doing? Do you guys do no market research? These Deus Ex and Tomb Raider, they're not games that are that are in the same space as Call of Duty. They're just not.
Now, and these were profitable games too. They, I don't know if we have, we don't have the exact, but they were profitable. They had profit margins of 5 to 10% on these, which isn't a lot, but it's good. It's enough to keep the studio floating while giving the parent company a good amount of cash back. But you're right. It was unrealistic to think that they would make these games into Call of Duties, especially since Call of Duties are year-round, and they have a built-in fan base from 2005? Is it? Is it 2000?
I want to say 2005 or so.
Yeah. Like they,
But yeah,
like it's an institution that's been year round for almost 2 decades now. You can't expect those sales to be that in a game series that isn't year round. So you're absolutely right. It sounds like they didn't do any market research, that they didn't have realistic expectation for these games. And if that led to them plunging gobs and gobs of money into a game that didn't need it, it's their own damn fault. And
yeah.
Like,
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And yeah, just overall, it just kind of confused me as well too. Just with sort of these really lofty sales targets, and that's not even to get into just the sales, the financial reports where anything Japanese would just get a pass if they missed the sales goals. But yeah, just one of the trends that I had noticed for the longest while with any of the Western properties was that Square Enix would just have these unrealistic sales targets for their Western games. And hell, even Guardians of the Galaxy had sort of a wacky, unrealistic sales target. And that one was sort of Square Enix's fault as well too, because they did little to any marketing for it. But yeah, just lots and lots of mismanagement just all around with just how they ran their Western operations. And it was just one of those things that I've been scratching my head for a long time trying to figure out the logic and methodology behind it, and I just can't figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so we've discussed the sale. We've discussed the companies that, or the development studios that were sold. We talked about generally how flabbergastingly stupid this is, to an extent to how much they were sold, and to how Square Enix managed this. And normally that would be enough, but there's more.
Yeah, so what makes this whole tale even more juicier is several weeks ago, there were a bunch of industry folks like Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb fame saying that Sony was apparently looking to expand its war chest, and they were potentially looking into buying out a major Japanese studio. And so just a lot of people just sort of kind of went wild on everything. And of course, the industry insiders were saying, hey, we really don't want to make comment on this because this could have potential financial ramifications on the stock market and stuff, so we cannot make a comment on this. So we'll have to see if what we think happens, and if it doesn't, then we'll be able to comment further, but we can't make any speculative quotes right now. And then of course this week, Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb fame had commented that, hey, yeah, you know that rumor I was talking about several weeks ago about Sony wanting to buy a major studio? Mm-hmm. Supposedly the target studio was Square Enix.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then this sale makes a lot more sense, which then comes back around to the question of, If that was truly the case, if the true purpose was to cut down their size to make them more sellable, why did they then say this is for blockchain, NFT, and AI?
Yeah.
Was it a subterfuge to just be like, yeah, we're so dumb, we don't know what we're doing. Someone give us money and buy us. Is that what is going on? Well, I doubt that's what's going on. But
Yeah. If anything, I almost wonder. I almost wonder if Sony was originally real interested in throwing down money, and then Square was like, "Oh well, piss off, your offer's too low," and Sony was just like, we're offering quite a bit of money. You could be under our wing and pretty much have a blank check. And
Yeah.
Square was just like, whatever. Just we don't need to be bought up by you. And then of course they make this announcement, and so Sony is just like, yeah, how about we just back off and just leave them alone and leave them to their own devices. And when they fail, we'll just come by and just scoop them up with a gracious looking offer, going, hey, you know what? You tumbled, you stumbled, you failed. But that's okay. We're willing to buy you out and keep your legacy alive. The only stipulation is no more multi-platform releases. You're just going to be concentrating on just PC and PlayStation, and maybe that's the play Sony's going forward.
Okay, but with that said, why would Sony do this? Most of the games that come out from Square are Sony exclusives.
Yeah, they're soft exclusives, but for them to leverage even more control and sort of, I guess you could say, have a stranglehold on Japanese label games being PlayStation only. Who knows? That might make a nice proposition deal to try to win back the Japanese video gaming audience, even though I don't really think that's likely anymore, since the Japanese demographic has moved on to mobile games and portable consoles like the Switch.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe Sony's waiting for a real good fire sale for Square Enix, so they're just kind of backing off, going, okay, great idea. Hope that makes you tons of money, while just kind of going off to themselves, going, they're gonna fail, and we'll buy them up super cheap and super fast.
But aside from Final Fantasy, and I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about this, and they mentioned Kingdom Hearts. And while Kingdom Hearts is a good IP that makes sales, people forget that they have to license that they have to share their profits with Disney. And Disney doesn't take a small cut. Disney takes a large cut. So whatever sales they're making, it's not as much as they would like with their own IPs. So aside from
the other part of Square Enix is they've got their fingers in a whole bunch of pies. They've got a manga division that actually publishes a whole bunch of different manga. So
I didn't know that.
They've got that end of things. They've got their toy studio, their Play Arts toy studio, which makes the extremely high quality figures, not only for Square Enix stuff, but they've done licensing for all sorts of other things.
Okay.
What else is there that they've got? They've got their own record label company that is under the Square Enix brand name. Mostly they publish stuff like the soundtracks for various games. Oh my goodness. I almost forgot about that. So recently, I want to say in the last decade or so, they ended up buying the arcade maker Taito, who makes a bunch of the Taito arcade cabinets, but also Taito had made a digital arcade game distribution system called the Nesca Live, and that now is owned by Square Enix. So Square Enix, they have a lot of industries under their label, and it would also just I want to say they also work on some movie and TV show publishing as well too. So yeah, just lots and lots of different industries under the Square Enix label, and I could probably see Sony buying it up if Square Enix got into some serious financial trouble
Hmm.
because especially with some of the other business units that they have, like uh, the movie studio industry, the toy industry, with the Play Art Studio, um, Sony could just leverage that and do to do their own stuff. So nothing like a high quality Kratos figure made by the Play Art Studio, for example. That would
Right.
probably be insane.
Okay. All right. Huh. I mean, the gist to get out of this is that Square Enix never really, I would say not cared, but didn't appreciate the Western studios that they had,
Oh
and
yeah, definitely.
they squandered what could have been a really lucrative opportunity with these IPs and with these studios. And with the amount of money that Embrace, and we haven't even gotten to Embracer, and with the amount of money Embracer paid for this, I know we talked about this a couple days ago. I said that it would take them 5 years to get that money back. Embracer thinks it's taking less time. They think they'll get it back in 2.
Whoa, that's an aggressive prediction. Holy cow.
You know how they're doing it, and I didn't think about this at the time, and it's still aggressive, but it's possible. You know how? You take those IPs that you have that haven't had a new game in, let's say, 15, 20 years, like Legacy of Kain, re-release them. Put them on the Switch.
Oh, the HD remake treatment.
Put them on the Switch, and then sell them, and that's it. You can probably make, God, aggressively price it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
$20 on the low end, maybe 35 on the high end.
yeah, you can probably get get half that money back just by doing that. Imagine with Tomb Raider. I mean, if they put maybe not the original Tomb Raider, maybe the anniversary remake. If they put that on the Switch, I think that would sell a lot. I mean, just concentrating on the Switch, okay? You could make gangbusters by licensing these old IPs. And I didn't think about it at first until I read that's what Embrace was thinking about doing, and I was like, oh god, that makes so much sense. Of course that'll work, because all they gotta do, and it takes effort to do the AC remaster. I'm not saying they literally shit it out, but it doesn't take as much effort as it does to take a new game and create it. So you can just take those AC remasters, put a polish through it, re-release it, and you make so much money off of that damn.
Yeah, because I know one game that I always hear people say that they wish there was a easier and more modern way to play them.
Gex.
Is the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver games.
Yes, absolutely.
Just that one, it doesn't matter what year it is. Just you'll have at least 5 or 10 people just talking on an internet forum saying, I would love to play Soul Reaver just on my PS4, my Nintendo Switch, my Xbox One, a HD remaster on Steam. Just it's a topic that I at least bump into probably easily maybe once every 6 months. Just there's always going to be somebody out there who will make the mention. And yeah, if that's Embracer's idea of just going through the Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix Montreal, and Eidos Montreal catalog to go through stuff that has not had a lot of love, then yeah, I am probably inclined to believe that they can probably make back their cash within 2 years easy.
Yeah. Okay. So, great deal for Embracer. I mean, it is. I'm still shocked at this point as to how Embracer got it for so little. And yeah, they're going to make that money back quick. And then they're going to have these IPs that they can make games that people want to play, and they're going to make more money off of it. This is a steal for Embracer.
Yeah, and speaking of IPs, the IP situation also gets a bit weird too, because GameIndustry.biz reported that Square Enix is actually still going to be holding on to the Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange IPs.
Okay. These IPs were mentioned as well with people as saying that Square Enix has IPs that they can use to make money. Okay, I hate to say this, and I'm kind of a fan of Outriders. These aren't going to make the same amount of money that a good Deus Ex or Tomb Raider will. They're not.
Yeah.
Like, as much as... I know people love Life is Strange. I know there are some gamers who adore this game. But you're not... Life is Strange is not a game that's going to have a shareholder go, we should have more of these. No, these are games that create... that people have to, like, in the company have to champion and say, it doesn't make a lot of money, but these are quality games that you want to be associated with. So, as much as, like, I'm not going to badmouth these games, but they're not big sellers. Like, Just Cause is another one. Just Cause, I think 3 was their most popular one. I might be wrong, but that that did okay sales, I think, and even that disappointed. Square Enix at the time. I mean, it sold close to 1 million in its first week, and that's.
And then Outriders, while it hasn't been great, I know it got a little bit of renewed excitement because of their expansion that's coming out in the near future. But the game doesn't have any sort of like microtransactions or anything, so hardly something to see any sort of regular revenue, and that's why, just for me, I thought that was kind of strange that they're keeping that one too, because I think the game is fun as well, and I bought it for a steal, but at the same time, just when I saw that Square Enix was still planning to keep Outriders, it had me sort of scratching my head going, okay, well, that's interesting, but why are you guys keeping it? Because...
brand new IP.
Yeah, just, it's a new IP, granted, but you guys don't have any sort of regular revenue stream for it. There's no microtransactions to get people to buy skins or anything. And if you're looking for money, then, you may as well just sold that one off too. So me, that was kind of surprising.
They just released DLC for that game.
No, it's a new expansion. I think it's coming soon. It's not out yet, but it's coming soon.
Okay. Just to point out too, Just Cause 4 only made $375,000 in the first week, and it was considered a failure by Square Enix because it didn't even make its cost of development back. So
so it lost money? Jesus.
Oh yes, Just Cause lost money. So Just Cause is also an IP that technically needs to be revived or needs to have a big comeback in order for it to make its cost back. Because it's not only going to have to make back the cost to develop 5, it's got to then make enough to offset the damage that 4 did. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's another one that's also strange now that you mentioned that Just Cause 4 didn't even make its development cost back. I figured that would have been just kind of bundled in the sale for them to just say, fuck it, get rid of it. Just this actively made us lose money. Just, we don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, what more is there really to say about this other than the simple that Square Enix bungled these studios. They they sold them for dirt cheap, so cheap that it looks like a complete steal for Embracer. Embracer is going to make that money back in quick, and the amount that they sold it for isn't really enough to really bolster anything other than, like they said, development in speculative business practices. So
Yeah.
I
Well, there is one last piece of this tale that
you
kind of
more.
makes things interesting.
Okay.
So, one of the pieces that had came out just this morning, and that I sort of shared with you right before we had shared, or right before we had started the podcast and everything, was there were more reports that came out that the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy game that released last year apparently lost Square Enix $200 million, and that's according to senior MST financial analyst David Gibson, and he's saying that it that the loss of the $200 million is likely the reason that there was such a fire sale on the IPs,
Mhm.
just to offset the fact that they lost 200 million on this whole thing.
Yeah, but that Avengers is a lesson. You were talking about Avengers, right? I didn't.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you. Oh my god, I cannot. I'm sorry. I was listening to you. I don't know why I just blanked. Anyway, the Avengers is a lesson of what not to make a live service game out of. The Avengers would have been a great. Well, if they made it well, they didn't. Would have been a great $40 beat 'em up game that you could have bought on, let's say, downloadable. And it apparently had a good story. It was fun if it wasn't just pretty clunky. This had no reason. There's no reason for this game to be a live service game. But
Yeah.
they turned it into one anyway. So,
And the funny irony is the fact that last year during the Q3 financial report that came out with regards to the Avengers, there was a line in it that basically Square Enix ended up fessing up saying, actually, Crystal Dynamics was probably the wrong studio to assign for a live service style game. So it was just like, you guys knew this was a bad fit, and you guys did it anyways, and it took you guys losing money to realize that you probably assigned the wrong studio to the game. What are you guys doing? How are you mismanaging this?
yeah. Okay. Zero.
And
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think what'll make this part of the equation interesting is the fact that um, in an investor call last night, um, they did state that pending Disney's approval of the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy's IP, um, as long as Disney approves, then Embracer Group would also be getting the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy as well, and that's more going to be contingent whether or not Disney approves of this.
Yeah.
But on top of that, um, I believe Avengers still had its lofty roadmap of things that they're going to fix to make the game better for the players.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting if the Embracer Group is going to have to basically get into a contract agreement with Disney to say, hey, we still want to fix the game. Can we do it? How much of a budget do we get for it? If we get any budget at all, and how much of a royalty share do you guys want in this? So that's going to be a mess of its own.
Okay. I think Avengers is going to be anthemed.
Oh yeah, especially
Yeah.
just with the severe mismanagement that the Avengers has gone through.
Hmm.
I think the worst of the mismanagement was back in March of last year when they decided to um, make the the experience curve much more worse because someone on the Crystal Dynamics team wasn't happy with the player metrics showing that most people basically just burn through the story as fast as they can to get to the end game and start going through the end game loop of trying to get the best gear and everything.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, um, after they turned on the worse XP curve, they ended up also deciding to sell a experience booster
I
item,
remember this. Yeah.
and of course, just the community got mad because they thought that they had a covenant um, with with the game that there would be no pay to win items, and they considered an XP booster as such an item. And then it wouldn't be until almost September that they would finally just fess up and go, "Hey, yeah, so you guys don't really like the experience boosters, do you? So we're gonna retune the experience curve to be less crappy, and we're gonna take out the experience booster item." So yeah, the Avengers game has just been just mismanagement after mismanagement, and even uh, if Disney does approve of them taking over the IP, I am probably with you that first thing Embracer is going to do is just say, yeah, just pull the plug on this, start making a plan to deactivate the servers, and we're done. And in the event that Disney doesn't approve of them taking over the Avengers, then it's just going to be left to rot on the vine and die.
I mean,
It'll just be, hey, yeah, don't spend any more money on this. We don't approve the takeover. This is going to be Square Enix's mess to clean up, and you just leave the Avengers for them to fix and do whatever to deactivate the game.
I wouldn't be surprised if Embracer just says no, and just like we're not going to deal with Avengers. We'll shut it down. That's it. We don't bother going to Disney asking for a new contract. Just say we're just going to shut it down. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I seriously think that's what they're going to do. I think you're. I don't think they're making that much sales in microtransactions in that game because I know they still release skins for all the characters. Why is beyond me, but they do. But I don't see them making sales back. So I just would. I honestly, and I know there's 5 of you who are Avengers fans. I would just say, kill it. Just shoot it down and get rid of it. It's done. That as in a business sense, that's the smartest move. Okay.
Yeah. I just and I agree with you. Just they may as well just kill it now. But apparently, I guess that's part of the stipulations that they have to get Disney involved on this whole thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Disney says, and I presume we'll probably hear about it in the next couple days.
Yeah. Okay. So, Zero, I have one question for you.
All right.
Okay. This is very controversial. A very sensitive subject, and some may get offended, and yeah, we may split our small audience, and people may hate us for the answers we may give in this. So let's be prepared. Let's all be calm. Let's all be adults about this. But we ask the tough questions in this. So let's talk about this. This is in need of being talked about. Zero. Is Sonic a better movie franchise or game franchise?
Oh, this is gonna be interesting. As a kid who grew up with the Genesis,
You're biased. Go ahead.
I've generally liked the Sonic games. Uh, I never was one for just the really fast approaches. I always loved just kind of um, moving around for the secrets and everything like that. Especially if you're trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds and go supersonic and just destroy bosses and stuff like that. So that's where most of my Sonic exposure has been. Um, as far as some of the other Sonic media that has come out over the years, uh, the Sonic comics that used to be under the Archie Comics brand, love those because I believe one of the artists went by the nickname Spaz. He had some of the most fantastic Sonic art for the comics and everything.
Yeah.
So, so there's that. Then you had some of the cartoons with Jaleel White playing the voice of Sonic in the cartoons. Cartoons I thought were pretty funny, pretty silly.
Yep.
Um,
Straight up
good
banger.
slapstick. Yep. And then we get into the movies.
Yes.
um, I still remember the original reveal for the
Whew.
original design for the movie Sonic design, and I was off put by it. I was just like, what have they done to my boy?
Oh god, it was disturbing. The small eyes, the small beady eyes. It was just like,
Yep.
what is this?
Yep.
And the what was it like? Sky blue hair that
Yeah.
that you could see every follicle of. It was disturbing.
Yeah. It
Oh
was just like, my God, what have you done to Sonic? Oh God, please no.
yeah,
So that was my initial reaction to that, and it was the worst. It was just like, what have you all done? This is terrible.
yeah.
And then of course, surprise, surprise. Hey, so we've heard your complaints, and we have taken Sonic back to the drawing board. And hey, look, um, he's much more similar to what you remember in the video games. And it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, well that's neat. Um, and I want to say got like a coupon in my email from Google Play Movies to get like a rental for like $1 or something, and
Hmm.
it was more focused for just a bunch of the brand new movies that had come out during 2020 and everything.
Yeah.
And uh, I was just like, oh, okay, get being able to rent a brand new movie that simultaneously launched in the theaters um, for $1, and I get to watch it in the comfort of my own home. Okay, sounds good. Wonder what they got. And yeah, the new Sonic movie was available to watch and everything, so um, decided to watch through it. And wasn't bad. It was a little weird, sort of having Sonic from his fictional world sort of cross into to the real life world
Yeah.
and everything. Jim Carrey as Robotnik was fucking hilarious though.
Yeah. I
But
guess.
I mean, it's Jim Carrey. I mean, hard not to
Hmm.
like him. But yeah, just I thought it was a fun movie. It wasn't anything like bleeding edge great or
Mm-hmm.
just deserving of like an Academy Award or anything like that. It wasn't anything groundbreaking in like humor writing or anything like that. And I mean, had a whole ton of CG because, well, yeah, just Sonic was just kind of way out there, even if his design was kind of tamed down to be something a little bit more closer to his video game design.
Yeah. Okay. So you didn't answer the question.
As far as movies versus games,
Yeah, which is better, the video games or the movie, or well, okay, the media or the video game?
oh, that's a bit hard.
Don't pussy out. Answer
I
the
want to
question.
say, I want to say video games, but only by a
Ooh,
hair thin line, mostly
ooh.
because of one reason.
Okay.
So, um, as far as the video games go, the one video game part of Sonic that has been a bit on the weak side has been the 3D based Sonic games. So
Really weak.
stuff like Sonic Heroes, Sonic Heroes was way weaker than Sonic Adventure 2.
But it was better than
And
Sonic Boom.
yeah, so uh, so so Sonic Boom wasn't that great either. And then you had Sonic Generations, which was interesting because
Yeah.
it sort of mixed up um, the Sonic Adventure 2 style maps with regular 2D scrolling Sonic maps. Interesting concept, really neat, but just really didn't do anything too groundbreaking or too interesting to sort of really change or mix things up. And then the Sonic racing games have been all over the place. Sonic R on Saturn was kind of out there, and then you've got the Sonic Team Racing games, which um, some people like better than Mario Kart. Some people don't like them as much as Mario Kart. So jury's kind of out on that. And then, of course, um, one of the most recent 3D Sonics that got a really, really divisive uh, uh, opinion on it was Sonic Forces. But I think mostly that was because just a lot of people didn't like the idea of um, basically the game allowing players to sort of go fan fiction on it by being able to sort of insert yourself into the Sonic story and make your own custom character that had like um, you could design your custom character with a like a character that's based on one of the current Sonic characters. So if you kind of like the gliding and climbing of walls, you could make like an echidna sort of character that was based on Knuckles, and uh, make your give the character their own color, their own hairdo, color of their shoes, and all sorts of other stuff. And that one, on top of the whole matter of just making your own character, the story was sort of, I guess, sort of weak because of the fact that they had to make it so um, you could sort of fit your custom character into the story somehow. So the story sort of suffered due to that. But then you have some of the more recent 2D games, which have been great. Sonic Mania has been excellent. And I would encourage anyone who grew up on the Genesis games, if you haven't played or picked up Sonic Mania, please do, because it is much more closer to something like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, if you were really big into the Sonic games. So, uh, just really, really good game. And they even remix levels from Sonic 1, 2, and 3 in Sonic Mania. So that would be where just I give the games a bare thin razor thin line over the movies and media, mostly because just a lot of the 2D games have been really fun and really solid, but the 3D games sort of drag that all down.
Okay. So, you're wrong. I just want to say that outright. But it's okay. It's okay. Because it's okay to be wrong sometimes. We're human. We don't know any better sometimes. And we just need to be given the right direction and the right way to go in order to better ourselves and each other. And it's okay, Zero. It's okay. No, the games suck. They've always sucked. They've always been horrible. I've never understood the appeal. Sonic Racing is good. I like the Sonic Racing Transformed game. That was fun. Yeah. The appeal I've never gotten. You're essentially just running left to right with pretty shitty controls and bad level design. And that's the 2D ones, which are supposed to be great. They're not, but okay. And the 3D ones were all shit. I mean, oh, God. Oh,
I
man.
actually quite like Sonic Adventure 2.
Okay, yeah. I get, yeah, I could see how you could. You'd still be wrong, but I could see how you could. Yeah. But, yeah, and the movie is okay. It's a kid's movie, but it's charming enough. It's funny. It's okay.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And Jim Carrey is PG Ace Ventura, which, okay, I can get behind that. Sure, why not? Ace Ventura had a kids show. Sure, what? Okay. Did you remember that, by the way, that they had a cartoon show?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
I do. Oh
so did The Mask and Dumb and Dumber. How did that happen? Anyway, but yeah, I think Sonic is going to make more money as a media property than they are a video game. I think that's what it's gonna be now for now on. I think Sega. I think Origins is probably gonna not do so well. I think the new one that's coming out this year, I forget what it's called. What's the new 3D one that's coming out this
Sonic
year?
Frontier, which is
Yeah.
going to be sort of an open world thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna burn. That's gonna fail. It'll fail. It won't make that much sales, and Sonic will then go to the drawing board again until Sony realizes or Sega realizes, oh wait a minute, we can just make money making movies and cartoon shows out of this, and then forget out the video games, and that probably would be the best thing for them for a while because they haven't. To me, they've never made a good Sonic game. There, I've said it, and I will. Yeah, call me a Mario stan. Call me a Mario fanboy. I will admit that I grew up with Nintendo and I prefer Mario over Sonic, like 10 out of 10. I will admit to that, but I've yet to play a quality Sonic game. There, I've said it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would still say if you haven't given Mania a try, it's a little bit more focused on sort of the exploration and everything, and really just I just had a blast with Mania mostly because just the map design was just a little bit different. And I want to say just also the movement mechanics seem to be just so much more refined compared to just Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and the combo pack of both games together and everything. So for me, just I would say anyone who may not have been a fan of the original games, I would still advocate just giving Sonic Mania a try.
Okay. I played Sonic Mania, and I'll agree that it's probably better than any other Sonic out there, but the controls to me have never felt right. So, okay. So if you like bad games, you'll enjoy Sonic. Good. Okay. Okay. It's good to know this about you, Zero. It's good to know this about you. Okay. That will be all for this episode of the Cooperative Game Chat. Tune in for next time where we discuss the going on and businesses of the gaming industry. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
And if I'm not dead by next week, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.